So welcome to Swamp Pass. Got Madlib spawning at the top side, picking India again, up against Vahuva's Persian. Vahuva was victorious in a Celts versus India game just prior. Let's just see if our players just commit to fast spears again. Considering this map you can go for the water, there's typically 3 to 4 schools of fish on each pond, so 3 to 4,000 food up for grabs. I'm assuming Madlib's going to go for an early barracks, Vahuva going for an early barracks as well. So our players still committing to spear rush, even though with the heightened gather rates it's a lot easier to go for a fast town centre or a fast dock opening in the face of spear rush. Man, the water in this game is actually really quite pretty, isn't it? I was just telling Madlib earlier that I basically play India like a worse version of him, where we will often invest in the shrines really early but forget the monastery, or sort of delay it and then get put into a position where we can never actually take it. Because the problem with the monastery is, and I talked about this last game, the thing with shrines is 150 wood to basically then have a 1 gold trickle at the absolute worst for the rest of the game. Monasteries, you've got to spend 150 wood and then invest in upgrades on top of that from it. And those upgrades might not necessarily pay off immediately, like, especially the Age 2 and Age 3 ones. Age 2 you're getting worker train time or building build time, and they are very, very useful stats to have. I won't discount that, but the fact is, you got to outlay those resources, and then you've got a bit of lead time before they actually pay themselves off. Then in Age 3 you've got Varney's Wisdom, which is the obvious pick for most Age 3 setups. You can go for Varney's Grip or Varney's Haste for the extra building damage or for the extra unit movement speed, but Varney's Wisdom is going to be really, really flexible because it even makes your age up cheaper. So you're going to get an Age 3. Taking Age 4 then basically pays for the upgrade itself, and anything you then get before it, obviously, like Age 3 champion upgrades, they also get a bit cheaper. Age 3 and 4 eco techs and armory techs. Varney's Wisdom is I think the strongest upgrade in the game, but also one of the most difficult to actually fit in. Madlib getting a couple of goats there, that'll be very nice for him. And Vahuva denying a couple of goats, that will be very good for him. So you don't see the gold trickle rate, you only see the shrine trickle rate if someone else has got a hold of it. So 6 Spara, 6 spears, pretty even in that regard. Madlib, not training at the moment. Is he waiting to go age up, or what's he doing? Oh, there we go. No. Just a little bit slow there. Vahuva even getting 8 cents. It's a big commitment early on. Like, it's nice healing. So, he must be anticipating getting pushed. Yeah, actually. Yeah. I might have to restart there because Vahuva's got access to a fairly safe second hunt. Just play it out, I suppose. How noble. I mean, he's already got a hold of all these goats, so his gold income's really good. It's just that it sucks that he doesn't really have a second hunt. Like, he probably should have one over here, or over here. And that'd be ideal. Vahuva has also got the 6 goats himself, so, I mean, Madlib's only gotten slightly more than half there. Neither player's going for fishing. Both of them are going to go for a fairly quick second TC before they go for any water here. Madlib can actually interrupt that. Oh, there we go. Probably going to put it over on this gold mine. No, he's going to bring him forward. Put it on this gold mine to the right. Deciding where he wants to put this TC. Oh, yep. Oh, this way he can protect the hunts too. So, a bit adventurous, going that far forward with the town centre, but at the same time it secures a lot of resources. It's him basically trying to play to the map as best he can, which is quite a good idea here. It's house, but he'll be able to finish that off before the villager finishes. Hoover with a quicker town centre, so that'll be good for him. So Hoover's looking to try and secure a dock and just make sure Madlib's not on the same water. Madlib going to try push, but Hoover's already got the second TC now. This wasn't delayed at all, so Madlib will be able to deny a bit of gathering here. There is 10 villagers over here, so every second that they're garrisoned is, you know, 10 resources not being gathered, but Madlib not wanting to push into it because he'll lose his army mass. But having shown his face here means that Hoover knows that he can also push forward a little bit with his army and try and get some value. But there's not really any resources up here on this top left side to really go for, except for the back wood line. So Madlib having seen the dock, so he's going to try and clean that up before there's too many boats to, you know, just try and take it out. Because the boats have got a good repair rate. That's a nice push here by Hoover. Is he going to be able to get a villager out of it? Yeah, he will do. In fact, he'll get a second villager there as well. So really well timed there from Hoover. He's even going to try and hit the hunt. So the beauty of the Sparrow is they've got great pierce armor. Taking 20% less damage than they otherwise would be. Even getting control of most of the goats there. But the Garda Warriors should be able to clean this up with the town centre helping them out. Hoover's gotten the dock, but he hasn't trained anything from it yet. Well, he's going to start fishing boat production, but cancels that in favour of getting a galley or two, because at least if Madlib pushes him off the water, he can deny it, Madlib being able to get on the water himself. Can always come back over here and get back on it. So Hoover's looking at trying to set up a dock here. I just saw his screen pan over this way. But Madlib's already had a go at this. He's got his dock finished now. He might choose to go for Vimana just to secure it. No, he's just going to go straight for fishing. So the dock goes down before the first galley can finish. Hoover just putting the resources back into more production here. Double range, triple range, double barracks. Madlib on barracks and stables at this point. So there's not a huge investment in production yet for Madlib. There's a massive one for Hoover. But at the same time, Madlib's going to have fishing eco. He's even going to try and go for double fishing eco here. This is a bit of a risk because, I mean, now he's outlaying twice as much wood just in docks. And it's going to take a bit of time for the fishing to pay itself off. Leaving him a little bit scant on production. He's only got the 3 buildings. Madlib is up against 4 ranges, 2 barracks from the Persian player. So Hoover is quite figuratively going to be able to shit out bowmen. Basically averaging 1 bowman every 2 seconds. Like, that is going to be phenomenal in terms of unit production. It's just a matter of being able to afford it, because he's got housed at the moment, so he's going to need to throw up a few houses. Not too many though at once, because you want to have the wood to be able to produce out of 4 ranges at once. And like I said, if you're getting a bowman just over every 2 seconds, you're then spending 30 wood just over every 2 seconds. So it is going to be a bit of a fight for him to maintain production out of 4 ranges. In fact, he's only got 3 producing at the moment. He's got marksmanship queued up as well. There we go. So he's making use of that 4 bowman production, and it is just going to send him broke quick. So 4 military buildings now for Madlib, but Hoover's got 4 rangers alone, and also has those 2 barracks. We'll eventually look at adding a stables once he can get the wood for it, but for now he's just going to mass up like crazy. Madlib's got plenty of fishing going on this right side, uncontested, and on the left side he's got the dock finished, but he hasn't yet started fishing. So Hoover will be able to pick off this 1 villager here, I think. So Hoover's cleaned up 3 villagers here. He is trailing on villager pop though, because he has been housed a couple of times. Has been trying to go for this, oh shit, let's get a 1,000,000 bowman upgrade, army. Getting the armory as well. So the dock is going to fall. But this little force for Hoover probably won't survive this. Yeah, there's a lot of units there for Madlib. He'll be able to clean this up pretty easily. Hoover's just going to run though, because there's not really any spears in this initial army, so there's not really any snare. So Hoover just accepting his losses there, cutting his losses and running. Because yeah, with quad bowman production, it's just unreal how much you can get out. So Madlib going for shrines now. I hope this time he actually gets an armory. I mean, gets a monastery. It's up to 3 ranges, barracks and stables. So he's up to 5 production buildings, getting the double shrine there. So Madlib, Vahuva still does have that production advantage, and he's even got his stables now. He's getting his war academy so he can turn on rigorous training. But again, that makes him even more broke. Like, look at him. He's got no resources in the bank other than stone at the moment. Madlib's got a little bit in the bank. So it can be a bit of a double-edged sword getting rigorous training this early on. I mean, Vahuva could always just look at going for age 3 and getting paid labor, which might be the idea if he hasn't taken rigorous yet. Maybe he's holding off just to wait and see how he goes for the first engagement. Oh man, this is really rough for Vahuva. He split his army up, and he's gotten found out with the Tarangas, but it's also worked as a bit of a bait here, because Madlib's now running through with the Taranga, and the spears are able to deal a fair bit of damage to them. Vahuva, I was just about to comment on walling in his dock. This is something you don't see a huge amount of, but it is a wonderful idea. If you're more worried about your opponent dealing with your docks with land units than they are with warships, especially in this situation where you can see the entirety of your coastline with where you're fishing, in theory you shouldn't have someone docking there and not noticing it until the dock's finished. Like, it just shouldn't happen at this level of play. So it's really smart for Vahuva to wall in his dock, but now he's going to try and take a fight. He's got himself a bit sandwiched here. Production is great though. Madlib, this has been a good catch for him. I thought it was going well when he caught out the bowman, then going poorly once he ran into the spears, but now he's cleaned up this army of Vahuva's, secured his dock, so this is a great spot for Madlib to now be in. He's up in population. Eco-pop does favour Vahuva. Madlib's actually not training a villager out of one of his town centres at the moment, while getting the age up out of the other. And he is committing to the Sacred Cow, so this sort of undoes the population gap at the moment to an extent. Vahuva gonna have to deal with a fairly hefty army here from Madlib, a lot of bowmen in the back line. I would have thought this meta would be not so fond of bow units, but the way these guys are playing, it's just spam out bowmen. Granted, matches between India, Persia, Babylon and Greek typically are decided by bowman counts, or by your ability to then produce counter, like, units to counter the bowman. And Madlib not really finding anywhere to go in there. Vahuva quite snug in his base at the moment. He's not really rushing out anywhere. He's got 4 fishing boats. Madlib's only got the 1. Madlib did have 3, but 2 of them got picked off by bows. So I think Vahuva's aware he does have that eco advantage over Madlib for the time being. And Madlib investing in all these unique techs, they're good, but they are quite expensive at first. Take a bit of time to pay off. A single Asabara there being a bit of a pain for Madlib, so he's going to have to send back a pair of spears to clean that up before it takes out too many of his villagers. Hasn't yet started getting any monastery takes. He's gone age 3, so he can fit in Varni's Wisdom. And like I said, it even makes other choose 1 techs cheaper. Like, every single upgrade Indians can get, once they get Varni's Wisdom, is cheaper. Like, it flat out, to me, just stands out as the best choose 1 tech from any age that India's got access to. I know these late game ones are quite handy because that, you know, that makes your ranged units better against buildings. It makes everyone better at fighting against armory upgrades. This is also handy because it means that your opponent, when they counter your units, just doesn't get as much damage done. You know, and this just means you can spam more production and also train everything out of it faster. So those age 4 ones are pretty big, but even comparing the age 3 and age 2 upgrades to Varni's Wisdom, like, I think it's just flat out so much better than all the rest of them. grip could be really useful if you're using fortresses aggressively, but I think it and Varney's haste, they're quite niche, whereas Varney's wisdom is just, you know, it's about as versatile as the age. Oh, here we go, another little run by here. Getting cleaned up though. There is Taranga in the mix, and once they get championed, they'll just be able to destroy Asabara. But Madlib hasn't got that tech in queue just yet. Here we go. He is getting Varney's haste actually. These two are quite handy as well, quite cheap too because they're only age 2 techs. Madlib trying to wall himself in, give himself a bit of breathing room here. Both our players have taken net lures as well, so they're age 2 fishing upgrade. More upgrades here for Madlib. He went for Varney's haste though, which is a really strange pick, I think. I mean, yes, military movement speed, that's great, but I mean, yeah, I guess it makes this army better at kiting and better at following, all those sorts of things. Because we got 7.6 speed bowman versus 6.3, so this Indian army is going to be really mobile. But at the same time, I just think that Varney's wisdom is just so much cost saving on upgrades that it's hard to pass up in any situation. Elephant training. Well, that's not a bad upgrade actually, because it makes your allies stronger and cheaper. Is Taranga. I'm going to need to get out of here. One of them's probably going to get picked off. No. Maybe I was wrong about Varney's wisdom. I mean, wrong about Varney's haste. Not much of a front line over here though for Madlib, so he is going to have to kite really well here. But there's a lot of Taranga coming in now. They don't have their champ upgrade yet. But if they can get on top of the bows at the back, it can be tough for Hoover to clean this up. Hoover getting blot out the sun there, so his bows have even more range, but at the cost of some health. But I think in this situation he would have been better off with them having that extra bit of health. So no rigorous training or paid labour here for Hoover. And Madlib has managed to kill most of Hoover's army. Yeah, I gotta go take a break and jump off for a bit after this one, guys. So we have 2 layers of walls for his fishing eco over here. Madlib is just completely naked with his damaged dock with no walls there. But Madlib, I think that fight ultimately did go his way. 157, 140, 155. So Madlib is slightly ahead in terms of army out in the field here, but it won't be long until both our players have maxed out. They've got a bit of resources. In fact, Verhoover's got a lot more in the bank. 81 to 65. So Verhoover fighting at a bit of an army size disadvantage, but a bit of an eco size advantage. So head-on fights like that should always go Madlib's way, but it will also mean it's going to be harder for him to pay things off. Verhoover though, struggling to get on his golds. There's no real gold over this left side that Madlib's denying, but Verhoover's... Ooh, Taranga's still here, preventing a bit of gathering. Very smart raid there from Madlib. Verhoover getting Asabara champion, Spearman champion. That extra speed would have helped him catch those Taranga though, I think, earlier. And the Bowman Ball's got to keep on backing it up. And it can only do so much damage to these war allies. He's going to try and sandwich himself in here. Keep on retreating a little bit even. So Madlib, been a very good push from him so far. Is there any real raiding going on outside? Oh yeah, Verhoover's got a lot of Asabara here, but there's a lot of spears in the mix now, and these should be able to clean those up pretty easily. So Verhoover doing his best to fight Madlib in between his 2 town centers. Like, this is the death zone right here. These guys are basically 2 towers dealing an extra 35 damage. So ultimately I think this will get cleaned up by Vahoover. Madlib is struggling for food a little bit, and there's a lot of Asabara here in the mix. It's going to take a handful of spears to try and knock them off their perch. Madlib is struggling to maintain the food to keep producing through this at the moment. And he is still training eco here, so he's up to 68 to 77 bills, so he hasn't quite closed that economy gap either. And the closer he does get to closing the eco gap, the easier it is for Vahoover to then actually turn around fights. Because his army size at max pop will be closer to Madlib, so Vahoover's still being a pest with his raids here. Though he is running into a lot of spears, so he needs to be very careful with that. Madlib in the meanwhile, spears everywhere here, so very good defense. Following this up, he's able to start gathering out of that town center once again, but Vahoover, in true Vahoover fashion, push out and wall up behind it. Does such a good job of that, man. Like, when it comes to defensive play, Vahoover's definitely right up there. Like, I think his ability to, you know, play a very safe defensive game, it's almost second to none, really. And I mean, I wouldn't have called him the most aggressive player in the world, but at the same time, lately he's been quite good with... In the prior game, he did a lot of infantry flanks. In this one, he's very active with the Asabara. Madlib went into that fight, I think, pretty confident he could actually deal a lot of damage, especially knowing Vahoover had so much out trying to raid, but able to get a bit of damage done with the raiding. The walls are going to go down there. It's a 91 Vils to 72. Taranga now have champion upgrade. They're going to retreat. Vahoover's probably going to want to wall this section in again. He's just going to do it. He's just going to wall it off straight away. More H3 upgrades coming for Vahoover. Madlib also getting his Garda champion there. Hasn't gone for Indra's Prosperity or Gift, and I mean at this stage you'd definitely go Gift over Prosperity, but even still, it is a nice tech to have when you've got a bit of resources in the bank. I know Madlib's probably trying to go to age 4, but if you get this, it makes it much easier to get your fortresses and your walls up. It doesn't take you anywhere near as much time to fort up, to market up. Though in saying that, the market build time's been set back to what it originally was. Oh yeah, and now there's actually on the tooltip it tells you about the display trade preview, which is very handy because then you know when you select a market and you haven't placed it, just how much you're getting with where you're thinking you want to place it. This is iconic for Vahoover here. 3 layers of walls just to get to a dock. I don't mean to shit on Vahoover for it, like it's actually a really big strength of his playstyle. The fact that he's able to play so defensively and be smart about how he's doing so. He sniped the dock with those Asabara too earlier. I did miss that. But yeah, both our players setting up to go to age 4. Madlib needs a bit more wood, but otherwise he's good. Vahoover needs a bit more wood and stone, otherwise he's all good. Oh, I'm tired now. A couple of mounted archers coming into the fray. And plenty of spears, but Vahoover needs these guys to actually, you know, attack the raiders. Madlib in the meanwhile needs to find a bit of opportunity and also try and mirror Vahoover's defensiveness, because if you go into late game and your opponent has double or triple the walling up that you do, you can't go anywhere, but he can hit and run you heaps. So Madlib's going to try and focus on walling up, setting up for market trade as well, which is a good idea at this point, because Vahoover is very well protected, so he will be able to go for his own market trade. He can go for something up here, funnel it all the way to the back there. Man, just wall in the whole lake, why don't you? So Vahoover putting himself in a corner here. I wonder if this is going to pan out for him. He does have a better backline, I think. I think proportionally he's got more of an army in the backline, so if you can try and get himself all tightly packed up here, he can fare very well, but we have actually got a Magus in the mix this time as well, so that's good for healing when there's breaks in play, but it's even more important because once he gets to age 4 and so does Madlib, they should be Juggernauts out in the field, or at least, in the very least, there'll be War Elephants. If not Juggernauts, you'll at least have War Elephants to contend with, and if you convert either of those units, it's really quite a big swing in terms of the army population and army value that occurs when you do convert elephant units. Juggernauts more so than War Elephants, and, you know, Egyptian War Elephants more so than Indian, because I think the Indian ones are cheaper. But yeah, elephant units in general just don't tend to fare too well against priest units like Magus and priests, augurs, pontifex, all those sorts of units. So Behover's just parked over here. I'm going for a 4th TC over in this corner, because I suppose that's just a little bit further than this one for even better trade. But he probably wants to try and wall through here somehow, or wall across here actually. Wall across there, protect the gold mine, chuck a little wall here, and then even wall that segment there. And it just makes him nice and defendable. He's really only rushable through here, where he's got his army parked, or through here. You might even eventually look at walling them up, because ideally you do want to have a full wall like what Verhoover's got here. There's no way you can touch anything in Verhoover's economy unless you basically destroy walls or chop through. Oh, Madlib, take out the wall, please! Verhoover does have repairers here, and he does also have the mounted archers, so he should be able to get a couple of these Taranga down. But bearing in mind, these guys fare well against mounted archers as well as against cavalry units. Like, they're designed to trade fairly evenly with anti-cavalry ranged units. Kind of like having an Asabara and a camel in one. A bit like the Ekes from Romans, except you start out with range bonus and then switch to cavalry bonus rather than the other way around. A lot of Taranga here now. But there is the fortress now. There's still plenty of villagers here to repair through things here. Both players now taking age 4. Age 4 upgrades in the mix. Takabara production. I mean, champion for Verhoover, so that'll be handy against any priest units, against any ranged. Well, Verhoover not opting to repair that. I suppose there is the rangers there, so that's a good comp for Madlib to try and bust through the wall here. Ranged and melee cavalry. Well, Asabara here for Verhoover though. Where's the rest of Madlib's army? Or is this it? The rangers are going to get picked off pretty easily by these Asabara. But at the same time, that's a lot of Taranga. Oh, but we can't really find some unguarded villages at the moment. Madlib's rangers getting wiped out there. I think that might have been a bit of a mistake to bring them in. Basically, once he punched a hole through the wall, he might as well have sent them home. Because Verhoover's not going to want to chase Taranga with Asabara anyway. Oh, Madlib, no! These raids just aren't paying off all that well. Oh, he has punched a hole through on this left side, so this will be good. If he can get this fortress down with his Palintonons, if he can get the wall down with his army, he should be able to interrupt a bit of gathering here. Well, a bit of market trade at least. Like, Verhoover's been very lucky that this really is like on the back tile of the map pretty much where his market line is. That's like the ideal market situation. Palintonons will be surprisingly effective here because they've got that nice bit of splash damage. Be able to take out a couple of bowmen at once or deal damage to a few immortals at once. Madlib's front line will be struggling a bit because they're in range of the fortress. Like, that Palintonon ultimately does go down. He's in a good spot here. No player's got any age 4 upgrades yet, I don't think. Oh no, Madlib does. So Madlib's fit in ranged armor and melee damage upgrades. Oh, you don't want these guys fighting the wall, man. You want them in the fight. No! Join the fight! Cowards. Magus is still alive. Might even convert one of the blade chariots there. Vahuva's army's not all engaged here either, so that's not great for Vahuva. Oh, but the blade chariot does get converted before it does get picked off. Everything over on the right side's been walled off, so in true Vahuva fashion, there's 2 layers of walls there already. Very good defensive play from him. Madlib gonna have to try and break through the wall. Mr. Vahuvatov, tear down this wall. Madlib taking some uncomfortable fights here and not really getting any value out of them. This whole time he's taking shots from the Palintonon and from the fortress. Needs to try and cut through the walls here somehow. Because Vahuva's trade does run through here, so if you can sabotage this, you know, suddenly Vahuva has a lot more pressure on him. Vahuva trying to gather this forward stone mine, which is a bit weird, but at the same time, if you can deny stone gathering by Madlib, means Madlib can't just fort and wall up the whole map. It's funny that these just rotate on their bases. Cataphracts in the mix now for our Persia player. So Vahuva, his front line should now start really being able to compete with the spears. These guys really, really tanky. Taranga can win fights against Cataphracts, but it takes that much time that Cataphracts can be tanking damage from other units. And the rest of the Persian army can get a lot of damage done in the meanwhile. Man, my stomach is grumbling something fierce. I must be hungry. Madlib still hasn't realised. Like, this has been such an active game that Madlib hasn't realised he's got all these guys just chilling. All queued up for something. We don't know what yet, but we'll find out. Palintonon just outside of the fortress range, but the rest of the army is copping fire from this. So Madlib is having to constantly try and back and forth here just to try and minimise damage. Oh, there is a gap in the wall there, so he really should... Oh, he really could have just got on top of that fortress a bit quicker. But Vahuva maxed out. Madlib a couple of units short at the moment. Eco population's neck and neck at 89 to 88 in favour of Madlib, so Vahuva's no longer fighting with an army discrepancy. And Vahuva, oh, he does actually only have melee damage. Well, Madlib's got armor upgrades and a melee damage upgrade, but Madlib forced to retreat there. All these guys still idling, and I think this is starting to cost his eco a bit. Having 10% of your eco just idle like that is not ideal. Vahuva retreating now. He's secured the bag and making a run for it. Actually, he's going to try and get this other stone mine off Madlib. Because, yeah, Madlib's stone income's not huge. Vahuva's got a shitload of stone. So he can put forts down, he can put walls down. Look, he's going to double fortress this side because he knows Madlib's going to keep trying to poke and prod at his trade. And if he can get little value out of it, then Vahuva should be able to pull ahead a bit. Because Madlib's bank isn't huge. His gold income's in a good spot, but I mean, that's given with India. But Vahuva's got even more gold in the bank. And now that he's shifted outside of range of this Palintonon, he can take a much better fight, even if it's in the face of walls. Madlib hasn't got fortresses behind his walls all that much, so it's not as painful for Vahuva to try and attack into the wall off as it was for Madlib. There is a Juggernaut in the mix, and I don't think there's any Maguses here for, or Magi I should say is the plural. There are no Magi for our Persian player. I mean, yeah, for our Persian player, but I don't know, it looks like the Juggernaut's going to get picked off before he's able to get a huge amount of damage. Vahuva breaking through here. Madlib's trade under a bit of threat here, which is a shame because it's a good market line he's got. Not actually seeing how much gold he's got from them though. Must all be fresh caravans. Ranger production now for Madlib, and he's getting a lot of blade chariots, Tarangas, and spears. Mages production from Vahuva. He's getting age 4 factory technology, so composite bow, close combat, horseshoes, all these bonus damage and health, or damage and range in the case of composite bows. Those upgrades are going to be really big, especially if... Oh no, looks like Madlib's got a lot of them. Oh, he's got the stables one. He's got horseshoes. He doesn't have composite bow or close combat. So Madlib able to defend there, but at what cost? Because, I mean, right now he's down to 49 villages to Vahuva's 92. Really nice wall off there. This is such a Vahuva wall. Holy Madlib, what's going on here? I shouldn't keep picking on Vahuva like that, because, I mean, I remember a game between Erie and Recon. Erie was Persia, Recon was Norse, that was on Treasure Island. A few of you guys might remember actually watching it. There was a stream of there was like 30 of us watching Erie defend against Recon, and at one stage Recon had 4 layers of walls protecting his market line, and Erie still, I think, eventually made it through. Or he just attacked at another spot. So Vahuva's not the only one who plays super defensive like this. Ares is actually really quite a defensive player, particularly on Persia. And the Civ sort of rewards you for being so. Nice snipe on those Palintonons there by those cataphracts, but there's a scary front line here from Vahuva, so I don't know if... From Madlib, so I don't know if Vahuva's got enough to hold this off here, or if he's going to have to fall back a little bit. Because there is still that one Juggernaut in the mix. Oh, it's A10 healing there. I was wondering why he was healing. I was going to say though, if Vahuva can get a handful of Magi here, he can try and convert these Juggernauts. And if he can get any more than one of them, suddenly the India player is just in a really tough spot. This eco difference of 91 to 54. Definitely favouring Vahuva here. Madlib's going to have to try and get some more economy behind this. Vahuva's already maxed out once again, and Madlib's trailing by about 39 pop there. Actually, even more than that, considering 158 in play. Very handy to see the in-play production versus in production. In-play population versus in-production population, I should say. Oh no, Madlib. I think Madlib's got select all army rather than select all land army rather than select all army, which means he doesn't actually select gurus. Because these guys only cost gold, but at the end of the day, you know, every little bit helps. The double fortress might be enough to kill this Juggernaut too. Now they're trying to punch a hole through. Vahuva's trying to do the same to him though with these cataphracts. He might be able to cut through all these layers of walls. These guys do a lot of damage. Oh. Juggernaut not able to really find a spot here. But did he come back and Madlib healed it and then he... Oh. Very crafty. I wonder if Madlib's going to be able to raid this now though. He needs to get units over here to take advantage of this. Gonna get the villagers Vahuva sent to repair, but Juggernauts are 600 resources almost, so you don't want to lose too many of them. They are 600 resources before the cost reduction. Madlib scraping the bottom of the barrel with his food economy here. He doesn't really have a lot of food here to throw into the front lines, whereas Vahuva's bank right now is massive. So I think Vahuva realises if he can keep the pressure on Madlib, he can stop him from really maxing out here. Oh, in saying that, army values aren't too dissimilar. Like, Madlib's got a much smaller economy, but he's actually got more army units out at the moment. Vahuva Oh, he's getting a lot more bowmen and spears now, so he sent them over here to try and defend this little pocket first, rather than backing up. Both our players, just gathering together here. This is really quite nice. PvE mode, co-op mode. Co-op over at the right side. Bloodbath over at the left. Madlib just trying to get as much together as he can here. Even still training Eco here, because he did lose a significant chunk of it. And he's switched back to this further back town centre. A couple more caravans are going to get picked off here. I think Madlib realises if he lets Verhoover get on top of his trade here, it's going to be all over. In fact, I thought Madlib had started trading to this one up the top here, but it turns out he is still going for this fourth town centre of his, and it's proven to be really quite damaging. GG just doesn't have the army to try and repel Verhoover at this stage. Well played, guys. Yeah, that pushed a little bit earlier, about 5 minutes ago. Madlib lost a lot of villagers, probably more than he anticipated, trying to hold off Verhoover there. And that final couple of fights, Verhoover just was able to keep replenishing units, and Madlib just simply couldn't at that point. They've both got all their upgrades. GG, well played, guys.